Hey, this should be kind of fun because we might be able to take and answer this call without that. So, Lance, are you there?
Hey guys, long-time fan, first-time caller.
Yeah,
Scott and Matt, thanks for having me on the show.
You had a question for us because we're running overtime. I was just going to have you.
I know that.
Okay.
The last guy kind of droned on and had me kind of looking at the ceiling, but
I was just going to have you ask your question and we would answer it.
Perfect. So in the world we're living in today, with social media and iPhones and how everything is, the sexualization of young people, how do you think that living it? No, don't sigh before I even get the question.
No, I have to sigh because I'm looking at here, and the question that you asked that you wanted us to address was, how is atheism a net positive on society? And my answer is, it may or may not be, and it doesn't matter. You can answer it with a question: how is not believing in Bigfoot a net positive on society? It's irrelevant to what the truth is. But now you're going down this path of modern society lacks morals and everything's sexualized. Please demonstrate this lack of morals that you want to claim, because I don't think it exists.
Let me at least get the question out, okay. And then one moment. So we live in a time of, it's very fast moving. It's very highly stimulating. And I think there's a lot of things that are bad happening morally in this world that we live in.
Like what?
So I'll give you examples. In 2020, when we have the transgender or like the drag queen reading to kids and things like that. How does
transgender and drag queens are different things? But we'll get to it. I know you're not done yet. I'll tell you when you're done. Believe me.
Okay. But how does not having a moral fabric, whether you believe it or not, like whether it be Christianity or some other theistic religion that gives you a moral backbone and fabric for the family, how does removing that from the picture just to be right about science, how does that benefit society as a net positive?
So, hey, Lance, your question has a premise in it that I think you must know that Matt and I would reject, which is that if you don't have religion, you don't believe in God, then you don't have any kind of moral foundation. I mean, you have to know that we don't think that's true.
No, but no, I understand. Like, but by and large, the average person is not smart. And
okay.
If you
can I ask this question? Do you think it's immoral for a drag queen to read stories to children?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because being a drag queen, it's a sexually active act.
No.
And anything sexual.
No, it's not.
Dress up like
it's not. You're just wrong about what a drag queen is. I mean, you're just demonstrably wrong about what a drag queen is, but please tell me why it's immoral.
Are you a drag queen?
I have been a drag queen, actually. And is sex immoral?
So have I.
Around children, of course it is. You both have been drag queens.
Why is it immoral for someone to wear clothing associated with the gender that they are not in front of children? Why is that immoral?
It's because it's a sexual act.
It's not a sexual act.
Where's the sex happening?
A drag queen reading a storybook to a child. There's no sexual act involved.
You're dressing up as a slut, as a man.
Holy shit, did you just step into the wrong fucking show, bucko? First of all, stop slut shaming people. There's nothing wrong with being a slut. But second of all, drag queens aren't dressing up like a slut. They are people who are dressing up of a gender that is not theirs. That is a completely separate issue. You want to go ahead and you want to get into your trans bigotry too, so that I can continue to smack you around? If you want to make a claim that something is actually immoral, you better make a claim that it's immoral and not just keep asserting that it's about sex or that somebody's a slut, because all you're doing is showing that you are one of the average people who are too ignorant to understand this. So please continue.
No, I mean, are you a fucking pedophile? Like, what are you on about? You want to dress up and be a slut around kids? Is that what
seriously?
You
just asked me if I'm a pedophile?
Wait.
Go ahead, Scott. You bat him around for a while.
Yeah.
I need a break. This is hilarious.
No, this is like fascinating to me because Lance, what is the slut part? I dress up like a woman.
You dance on on stage and you'd sing Madonna, like, and you dance around. I wouldn't want Marilyn Monroe dancing around, even as a woman, a straight woman. I wouldn't want a dancer to be around a child.
You do realize that drag queens are not dancing on a pole in front of children. They're reading them storybooks, right?
Yeah, you just said they're reading a storybook, not dancing.
Why would you not have why not have a, why are you making aberrant behavior positive around children who are already impressionable and confused?
Why are you engaging in puritanical slut shaming when you don't understand what any of this is about?
Flat out wrong. It's unbelievable that you think this is okay behavior.
Lance, wait.
Okay.
Let's find some common ground, okay? Right? Yeah. So we both believe that we all believe that pedophilia is wrong, right? We all believe that
pederasty is wrong. Pedophilia is an attraction, right. And if not acted upon, they should be lauded for not acting on it. But yes, I understand.
You're right. I stand corrected.
Unbelievable.
Acting on pedophilia is wrong.
I know it's unbelievable to you because you're an ignorant little bigot, but we're schooling you, so you'll be fine. Trust me. Just hang with us for like 5 minutes, and if you just hang with us for like 5 minutes and let Scott talk, we'll fix you.
So Lance, I understand you're worried about that. You're worried. Your concern is sexually abusing children, right? I get it. That's a totally legitimate concern. Nobody wants children to be molested. Nobody wants children to be exposed to things that they are not cognitively old enough to be exposed to yet. Right? We're on the same page about all of that. But when you say that when you call it perverted or you call it slut, you're just begging the question, right? You're assuming your conclusion as an argument for your conclusion. So show us how it's abusive for someone to dress up as the opposite sex and read a child a book, because the kids fucking love it.
It's mentally abusive on the kid because they're very confused because they know that's not a woman. And
I think you're confused. I don't think
weird makeup. It's like
the actual science from the experts show that kids aren't confused.
Don't fucking science me, the grass Tyson pedophile fuck. That's ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
Okay, all right. And you're gone. Yeah, just like I told you I'd tell you when you're fucking done, and now you're done. But you did such a wonderful job because you called in and made really sound arguments based on badass assertions and claims that I'm a pedophile and that you don't want people to science you. Well, thank you, because it's science that is actually exposing this stuff, and it's science that people like you are terrified of, that the world might not be the way your small-minded upbringing, which isn't your fault, made you think it was, that the world may be bigger and more robust. Would either Scott or I be okay with people performing a live sex act in front of a group of children at a library? I'm pretty sure that without even looking at the screen, I can say neither Scott nor myself would advocate for that. And yet I'm pretty sure that both of us would be happy to have a man dressed as a woman read a storybook to children. Because drag queens aren't the same as transgender. Oh, and by the way, I'd be happy with a transgender person reading a book to children as well, because trans rights are humans' rights. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. You're so terrified of everything is about sex, Scott.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask, would you have been okay with a man dressing up as a cow or a sheep, and reading that? Because does that mean that the man wants to fuck the sheep, or that the children should want to fuck the sheep? Like, where exactly is the sex act coming in?
Oh, yeah. I actually went in a different direction. I was thinking, what if a guy dressed up as a clown? Because some kids are terrified as clowns, and that could be potentially confusing. And coming to read a story, and you're not going to object to that. But you're going to object to this, because the one thing that the caller doesn't understand: drag queens are fun. That is fun. Even when it's sexualized, even when we're doing the burlesque show and they're up on the stage and they're dancing around, it's just fun. It's not like the people in the audience at a drag show are in danger of being molested, or it's a show.
And perhaps we should say, that we should acknowledge that a drag queen, like anybody else, can cross the line. Right? A drag queen, like anybody, any straight person, is just as likely to cross that line as a drag queen is. And in my experience, and I'm sure yours as well, Matt, I've seen drag queen, I've gone to the drag queen shows, and I've also seen those same drag queens then interact with a child. And you know what? They turn off all the sexual stuff.
Yes.
They just become compassionate and kind and fun for the child. You know, this conflation is really dangerous.
It's I'm gonna. So first of all, we're gonna stop taking calls here and kind of try and wrap things up, because first of all, I want to genuinely thank you for doing this. I hope you can do it many, many more times over the years. I've been waiting for you to do it for 8 years. And also I appreciate the fact, and I think people watching the show appreciate the fact that while I might get up and just go into a tear on slavery or drag queens and trans stuff, you are an incredibly measured individual who's far kinder than I'm going to be. And yet, I think if they watch it back, you will see that Scott got just as fed up with the bullshit as I did, just has a slightly different way of addressing it. And I'm just sitting here going, like, I have really good friends who are trans. Now, I think people in general are good. It's not something I can demonstrate. I think that by and large, it's, people in general just are good. And that the people who are truly awful are the exceptions to the rule. And so when we get a call, like our last caller, I'm not even convinced that even he believes what he's saying. Whether or not it was a troll, I don't know. Whether or not he's sincere about what he believes, I don't know. But I do know that what he said, every word that he said, is representative of somebody's beliefs out there, because there are people who are absolutely terrified of trans people. There are people who are absolutely terrified of drag queens. They don't know the difference between the two. They don't know the difference between sex and gender. They don't know the difference between gender identity and gender expression. They don't know what it's like to be in that position, because they have been in this position where the world has apparently been exactly what they thought it was for their entirety of their life, and they wake up in a new era where something doesn't fit. And so his only option, if he's sincere, is to suggest that, did you hear him? He's like, oh, were you a drag queen? Why, yes, I was. I've done the show as Matilda. And I must say that for, a much rounder person at the time, I did fine. I had wanted to do the show in drag for a long time before I did. I'm not going to go into sex and sexuality and kinks, because it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it reminds me of the people who are afraid about letting trans people use the bathroom that's associated with their gender. And when I was on stage with Dinesh D'Souza back in March, he tried to do this thing, saying, if a guy comes into the women's bathroom, just waving his testicles around. Now, Scott, let me ask you, in your entire life, have you ever gone into a men's room and just waved your testicles around for everybody?
Funnily enough, I've resisted the temptation. Yeah.
And yet this is Dinesh D'Souza's big fear of what will happen if we let trans people use the bathroom associated with the, that men will just dress up like women, go into the women's restroom and go, hey, look at my nuts, ladies. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. The men who are going to do that are going to do that anyway.
Yeah. It's not like having a law that says you can't use this would stop anybody that really wanted to do it. But I've used bathrooms, including, like, I was in the Navy for years, and there's a huge head up above the berthing, and you got all these urinals and everything else. You're standing next to everybody. But also, we've all been to like the ball game stadiums and the festivals where they have like the one big long urinal that's just constantly dripping water. Everybody goes in there and lets it all. And yet, I don't think I've ever seen another man's testicles. I've seen penises, because sometimes it's hard to see. And some guys are a little more proud about, showing it. But I don't think I've ever seen another guy's testicles in a bathroom. And yet that's what he was afraid of. And I've never seen a drag queen reading a story to a group of kids do anything at all that was sexual or inappropriate. Meanwhile, the lights are on. There's people watching. It's not like they could, do anything. I'm more worried about the supermarket mall Santa than I am about a drag queen reading a book.
Yeah.
And I'm not that worried about Santa.
If a drag queen reading a storybook to children did do something that was sexually inappropriate, we would condemn that. Obviously. Yeah. The problem is that that's imagined. It's not actually happening, or at least in the circumstance that we're talking about, it didn't.
Yeah.
Can I tell you?
You can tell me anything. I'll stay on the show for the next 3 hours if you want to tell me stuff, but go ahead.
Oh my God. No. I want to let everybody go home. But the closest I've ever come to God, spiritual experience, I was in an airport bathroom, and I'm standing at the urinal, and I look over to my right, and there's Ron Jeremy, famous porn star Ron Jeremy, and I'm going, oh my god, I'm standing next to Ron. Should I look? Like, should I do it? And then as I'm doing the moral calculus in my mind, whether it's like worth looking, I look over to my left. An orange robed Zen Buddhist is taking a piss to my left. So I'm like caught between. It was the most spiritual experience I've ever had.